Will the Heat ruin the Bucks season once again? We all know what happened in the postseason last year. The Heat went on an incredible run, and the Milwaukee Bucks just hit a wall. They just were not the same team in the postseason, and now we're getting that exact same matchup this time around in the first round of the Eastern Conference playoffs. There's a ton of pressure on Milwaukee here. We're going to talk about the specifics of the series, who I think is going to win, all the different matchups, the context, the narratives, the storyline, all those different things. You guys enjoyed the Suns-Lakers series preview the other day, and so I'm going to bring it back here today with this one as well, talking about Heat-Bucks. With all those things said, really quickly before we get started, I like to remind people, I upload NBA stuff on this channel every single day. It's the most consistent NBA content on YouTube, so if that's something that you're interested in, then consider subscribing. You can also leave a like rating on the videos as well, and you can check me out at various socials in a Linktree link down in the description below. With those things said, let's talk about this series. So the Bucks and the Heat, they have an interesting history here. Milwaukee specifically, within this era in which Giannis has been really good and they've been really good as a team, they've had some postseason struggles, certainly at certain points, and that was most profound last year when they lost a surprising series to the Miami Heat, and quite frankly, a series that really wasn't all that close, and now they have to be nervous drawing Miami here in the first round. There have even been some public comments made about this team that makes it seem like they don't even know how confident they should be going into this series. Now, granted, Milwaukee should be confident. They've been the better team all season long. They've been the more consistent team all season long. The Heat have been very up and down despite making the finals last year. And Milwaukee has made some adjustments to prepare themselves better to be a postseason team. They've won 60 games in the regular season before. That success has not been in question. The postseason has, however, and from a personnel as well as a defensive standpoint, they've made some adjustments to try and prepare better to be a better postseason team. The first of which is the Jrue Holiday trade, basically swapping out Eric Bledsoe and some depth in exchange for Jrue Holiday. Jrue Holiday has had an awesome season. He's a fantastic defender. He's an efficient offensive player, provides them more perimeter playmaking than Eric Bledsoe ever did. There were times in the postseason where Eric Bledsoe might as well have been on the bench offensively. The Bucks were literally playing 4-on-5 at times in the postseason over the last couple of years with Eric Bledsoe in the backcourt. Bringing in Jrue Holiday in place of him, I cannot overstate how big of a deal that is for them overall, but specifically in the postseason, it's going to be a huge help. And then defensively, in the past, the Bucks have been relatively rigid. They've been more unwilling to switch than nearly any team that's made the postseason over the last couple of years. They've kind of stuck to what their defensive principles are, where they're going to drop off a lot in the paint. They're going to protect the paint. They're going to give up one of the highest number of three-point attempts per game in the league over the last couple of seasons. That's been their thing. But this year, they've managed to switch it up a little bit. They've introduced new defensive concepts, not entirely changing everything that they do, but there is more switching here. And the question that I have is, one, are they going to be confident enough to execute that in the postseason? Is that going to be something that is really going to carry over? Or are they going to just go right back to what they're comfortable with and what they've run over the last couple of seasons and ultimately what has been least effective for them? So keep an eye on how much switching there really is happening in Milwaukee there defensively. In terms of this matchup specifically, when you look at it on paper, the Bucks should be in a good spot here. They're quite frankly the better team. Jrue Holiday, Chris Middleton, Giannis, those guys should be really good. You know that big three is what this team is centered around, and they're going to try and figure out enough from Lopez and DiVincenzo and Bobby Portis, the other guys on the roster, to be really good. On the other side, the Heat are in kind of a similar situation. You know Bam's going to be awesome. You know JB's going to be great. Jimmy Butler's had a great end to the season. He's been playing fantastic. And then it's kind of, what are we going to get from Kendrick Nunn, Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson, Goran Dragic? Hero's been playing really well to end the season as well. And so it's just going to come down to those other guys. And is Miami's 2 going to be that much less effective than Milwaukee's 3? I don't know. This matchup would make me incredibly nervous if I was a Milwaukee fan, specifically because I just feel like there's so much pressure on this franchise, on this organization. They got the monkey off their back with Giannis signing the extension. I can't imagine the amount of pressure that would be on them in this postseason had he not signed that extension. Just think about that for a second, because there's already a ton of pressure on Coach Bud. If they lose this first round series, I can guarantee you Coach Bud will not be the coach of Milwaukee next year. 100%. No doubt about it, guarantee. If they lose this first round series and there's not some kind of catastrophic injury to any of their main guys, which obviously we hope doesn't happen, Coach Bud is gone 100%. He knows that. A lot of pressure there on him. There's a lot of pressure on Giannis. People are going to start considering him just a notch below where he's established himself as a back-to-back MVP. If he can't get it done in the postseason, can he create enough offense late in the game? And then this Bucks team as a whole, if they lose this series, nobody's going to take them seriously ever until they prove otherwise in the postseason. And people are going to have confidence in Miami. They saw what they did last year in the postseason. They saw the run they went on. They saw how great Jimmy Butler was, the development of Bam Adebayo. They've got plenty of other pieces on this roster. However, if the Bucks can overcome that pressure, I personally would pick them in this series. I think they're the better team overall. I think there's a lot of Andre Iguodala and a lot of Trevor Ariza out there for Miami that makes me nervous. They've got plenty of depth in the backcourt between Robinson and Nunn and Hero and Dragic and Jimmy Butler. But on the wing, are they going to be able to have enough guys to guard Chris Middleton post-ups, to guard Giannis getting to the rim? Jrue Holiday's a bigger guard as well. I think there's a bit of a size disparity there between like the 1 through 3 spots that's going to be a bit difficult for Miami to match up with, unless Bam is going to be taking on a relatively full-time assignment on Giannis, which could potentially get him A, into foul trouble, or B, out of the paint where he could be protecting the rim and opening up driving lanes for other guys. There's a lot of really interesting individual matchup stuff here, but here's where I'm at with the series overall. Assuming that Milwaukee gets off to a good start in this series, I think Game 1 and Game 2 are incredibly important, arguably more important in this series than in any other series. If the Heat steal a game or two in Games 1 or Game 2, I would very, very quickly shift my opinion on this series and start thinking that Milwaukee is going to throw this one away. They need a confidence booster. They need to come out and play well in Game 1 or Game 2 or both and establish that, yes, we are actually the better team than Milwaukee. I think that's the case. I'm not sure Milwaukee believes that after what happened to them in the postseason last year against the Heat. Assuming they get off to a good start, Milwaukee should win this series. I think that when it comes to their big three, as well as some of the shooters they have around them, they're going to be a difficult matchup for a lot of teams. And I think that we're starting to maybe underrate a bit the impact that Giannis can have on the first 46 minutes of a basketball game. The last two, still a little bit up in the air. And ultimately, that is probably what the series will come down to. I think they're relatively evenly matched. I'd give the Bucks a slight edge. But if the Bucks can't execute late in the game, and if the Heat are the ones consistently getting clutch buckets from JB and from Bam Adebayo, from Goran Dragic, stuff like that, that could be the separator. Because in a typical 3-6 matchup, I think that there's a bigger difference than there is between these two teams. I do think Milwaukee's better, but just that lack of confidence that I feel like they have specifically against this Heat team could come back to bite them. So for me personally, I'm going to pick Milwaukee. I feel like Milwaukee's the better team. I feel like they should win this series. I feel like Giannis is going to have a big series unless they can figure out another guy to guard him other than Bam. Bam can't play the entire game. And I want to pick Milwaukee here. I know that there have been issues in the postseason with Giannis, with Coach Bud, but I don't think you can overstate the difference in having Jrue Holiday out there as opposed to Eric Bledsoe, specifically in the postseason, specifically in terms of what that does for them offensively. And I'm nervous about it, and I think Milwaukee is too, which makes me even more nervous. But I'm going to pick the Bucks here. I think the Heat have had an interesting season. It's been very up and down. It was always going to be a tough season for them with as quick of a turnaround as they've had. I think it's very, very clearly indicated by the standing of both Miami as well as LA in the standings this year, how much of an impact that quick turnaround had on both of them. Miami is the 6th seed. The Lakers is the 7th seed. Those are the two teams that were in the finals last year. They both had a lot of injury issues and things like that. So that is, clearly coming into play here and one of the reasons why they're so low down in the standings. Miami absolutely has a chance in the series. I wouldn't be surprised to see it go 6 or maybe even 7, but I think Milwaukee is better than they were last year, and I think the Heat are just a little bit more beat up than they were last year. There's going to be a ton of confidence and swagger being brought into the series by Miami, but ultimately, I'm going to go with Milwaukee. Let me know down in the comment section below what you guys think is going to happen in this series. Again, I can't overstate how important I think getting off to a good start in the series is and shooting well. If the Bucks come out in game 1 and they get pummeled by 20 and they can't make a 3-point shot, then I would maybe start penciling in Miami advancing into the next round. I see a lot of Milwaukee momentum lately going around where people think Milwaukee's going to potentially come out of the East. People are overlooking them. I'm down to start considering that, but I need them to get past this Miami team first. I think you can make the case there's a bit of kryptonite here. I think you can make the case that Bam is one of the better Giannis defenders out there that you could potentially throw out there, and Jimmy Butler is going to do Jimmy Butler things. This is probably one of the series I'm anticipating the most. This, as well as the other series I previewed between the Suns and the Lakers, are the two that I am really, really interested in. So let me know down in the comment section below what you guys think about this series, and we'll see. Hopefully hopefully we'll have a really good series and we'll see what happens between these two groups. But as I said, that is going to be the end of today's video, and I thank you guys very much for watching. Once again, my name is Tucker. If you missed any of my previous videos, be sure to check out the box on the screen, leave a like rating on the videos as well, and you can check me out at various socials and a Linktree link down in the description below. Once we move on to more rounds, second round, third round, things like that, I'll do more playoff series previews, but this will probably be the only other one that I do for this first round, just because the games start today, so makes total sense, right? Anyway, hope you guys have an awesome rest of your day, and I will see you all next time.